Every time a new person starts a job, they walk in the door with this promise of potential. But what happens when that promise gets shattered? Not in some big dramatic explosion, but by a series of small, preventable failures. Today, we're going to dig into the human story behind workplace accidents and talk about why safety, it isn't just a rule book, it's a lifeline. This line, man, it just gets right to the heart of it all. This is about a guy named Nick, a new hire at a place called the Food Depot. And it just perfectly nails that tragic gap between an employee's dream and a company's blind spot. And let's be honest, this is a conflict playing out in workplaces all over the country every single day. Okay, so picture this. It's Nick's first day. He's got that new job energy. He's optimistic, he sees a real future here. But the place he steps into, it's less of a store and more of a buzzsaw. Especially during the holiday season, the pressure is on from the second he clocks in. In this kind of environment, it's all about speed, efficiency over everything. So one morning, Nick is hustling around a corner, head down, just laser focused on the next thing his manager just barked at him. He's totally overwhelmed, just trying to keep up, trying to show he can hang. And because he's rushing, because his head is spinning, he just completely misses it. A big, bright, yellow, wet floor sign. It's like the most basic warning, right? Safety 101. But in the chaos of that moment, it might as well have been invisible. The fall is just instant. And it's brutal. The source material describes the sound as a thwack, so loud it literally silenced the entire store. You can just imagine it, right? The holiday music, the chatter, all of it just stops. Dead silence. And every single eye is on Nick, crumpled on the floor. But here's the really telling part. What's Nick's first thought? It's not about the sharp, throbbing pain in his knee. It's just shame. Pure embarrassment. He sees that fall as this huge public sign that he's not good enough. And just like that, his identity shifts. He's not the promising new guy anymore. He's the guy who fell. So that feeling of being inadequate, it just drives him to push even harder. He's ignoring the pain in his knee, determined to prove himself, to make everyone forget about that fall. And this desperation, well, it leads him straight into the next and much more serious injury. He's in the back room, and he sees this super heavy pallet of cast iron planters. Now, he knows the rules. We've all seen those team lift posters, right? But he just ignores it. He ignores every single thing you're supposed to do for a safe lift. He didn't lift with his legs. He lifted with pride, with desperation, and with his back. And the result of that one bad lift? It was a searing, deep twist inside him. This wasn't just some pulled muscle. The fallout was just devastating. We're talking months of therapy, constant nagging pain. His confidence? Totally gone. And his daily psychological fear that his own body had betrayed him. But the last injury, this one is maybe the most tragic of all. Because it wasn't about a dramatic fall or a sudden strain. It was about a silent, invisible poison. It was about a hazard that you can't possibly protect yourself from if you don't even know it exists. So months later, Nick gets told to clean up a stubborn stain. He goes over to an unmarked shelf and grabs 2 different half-used bottles of industrial cleaner. Thinking, more is better, he just dumps them together. He has absolutely no idea that he just created a toxic gas. He doesn't fall, he doesn't slip, he just breathes it in. And this timeline just shows you how sneaky this kind of thing is. It starts with that one moment, breathing in that cloud. Then, weeks later, a little cough turns into this persistent wheezing that won't go away. And finally, the verdict comes down from the doctors: permanent lung damage. It's an injury that just quietly, completely ends his dream of having a physically active career. Okay, so let's pause here, because this is the whole point. Nick's story isn't just a string of really bad luck. It's a tragedy that was born from a cascade of totally preventable failures. And it just powerfully proves that safety is not common sense. It's knowledge, it is training, period. And when you actually compare the consequences, the imbalance is just staggering. For the company, the costs are fines, right? Potential OSHA violations for not having their paperwork in order. But for Nick, the cost was his entire future. His career, gone. Chronic illness, permanent damage to his body. You can trace Nick's entire ordeal, this whole nightmare, back to these three distinct preventable failures. Each one was a massive gap in basic safety knowledge, just a little awareness about slip and fall dangers, proper lifting training, and basic chemical hazard communication. Any one of those could have changed everything. So, if these failures are the disease, what's the cure? Well, it's about shifting your whole mindset from being reactive to being proactive. It's about building a real culture of safety where every single employee feels empowered with knowledge. The prescription for prevention? It's training. The only truly effective way to stop stories like Nick's from happening again and again is through comprehensive, accessible training that closes these exact knowledge gaps. The right training program is designed to turn abstract rules into practical, life-saving habits. And look, modern training isn't about watching some boring, grainy video in the break room anymore. We're talking about engaging, interactive methods, even using games to make sure the information actually sticks. With things like digital certificates and the flexibility of being 100% online, it's never been easier to give your team the skills they need to stay safe. And of course, credibility is everything. Truly effective training doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It comes from decades of experience in the world of education, from figuring out how to actually challenge professionals to learn in new and better ways. And this really brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? The whole goal here is to protect that promise of potential that every employee brings with them on day one. This isn't just about avoiding some fines. It's about actually valuing your people, protecting their bodies, their minds, and their futures. So we'll end with a question for you to think about. Take a hard look at your own workplace, at your own team. Is their promise, their potential, truly being protected by knowledge and training? Or is it, like Nick's was, just one slip, one bad lift, or one invisible cloud away from being completely shattered?